darling, know the world is yours. You can have all that you wanted, darling, know the world is yours. I've been up chasing the sunsets just to see if there's more, 'cause it's been so long since I tried to love. It's been so long since I tried to love. It's been so long since I tried to love. It's been so long since I could love.
Weeks ago, the competition began for Ms. Health and Fitness 2020. Fresno's Sparkle Soojian is one of the many hopefuls who made the first cut. The next cut is tomorrow night. Soojian is currently the leader in her group. If she wins the whole competition, she gets to be on the cover of Muscle and Fitness Herbs and $20,000. She wants to use that money to help her friend's son, who has cancer.
They have a GoFundMe page, and I would like to give a big chunk of the lens to her because they need that. It's a life and death situation.
It's just tough seeing him go through it because he's obviously feeling the effects of the chemo. He's lost all his hair. His appetite isn't what it used to be. So I actually met Sparkle from working at GV3. She's definitely an amazing advocate for anything she sets her mind to. So she's just an amazing friend to have.
Logan Ochoa is his name. He just turned 12 years old. The cancer he has is aggressive, but thankfully it is not terminal.
You got to admit that I always keep it real. And girl, you know you are fire. Always been something of my desire. But right now you are looking real rough. Yeah, you drank too much, cause you drank the whole cup. You did a lot of drugs, tried to sweep them under the rug. You took her time for granted, and now the time is up. I said, ooh, I'm missing things. Missing all the times that you were on top of me. Ooh, I'm missing things. Really all I miss is the way you made love to me. Looking so fine. I knew that I had to make you all mine. 100 soul on the inside. Well, it didn't matter, cause tonight we do a thing. Me and you, baby, we can see what it brings. You were just a coming storm and I was your calm. All I wanted was you clean, wrapped up in my arms. I say, ooh, I'm missing things. Missing all the times that you were on top of me. Ooh, I'm missing things. Really all I miss is the way you made love to me. To clear your way, I told a lot of lies just to clear your name. You made promises that you couldn't keep. When I finally heard the words, man, I couldn't speak. So I moved on further from your heart. You did everything to pull us apart. You kept doing drugs that we considered hard. You strayed off of the path and wandered to the dark. I said, ooh, I'm missing things. Missing all the times that you were on top of me. Ooh, I'm missing things. Really all I miss is the way you made love to me. Oh, I'm missing things. Missing all the times that you were on top of me. All I miss is the way you made love to me.
Welcome to the Sparkle Show. Okay, guys, we're gonna go in order and tell us your names. Starting with you.
Okay, I'm Paul, and I play keyboards.
I'm George. I play drums.
I'm Aaron, I'm percussions. I'm Dave, I'm lead vocals and guitar.
I'm Kevin, I'm bass.
Oh, nice. How long have you guys been together?
About a year and a half.
Almost.
A year and a half. So where have you guys played?
We're playing all over shows, all over Delaware, basically the East Coast. Delaware, Colorado. We played Colorado. We've had a couple opportunities to a lot of big bands in our genre over in the beach, Delaware, like Rehoboth Beach and stuff like that. So
where do you live now? Where are you guys all stationed at?
Just Smyrna,
Delaware.
yeah.
We're in like central Delaware.
Central Delaware? So what's the weather like? I'm in California and it's super hot. How's the weather in Delaware?
Super hot and humid. Very humid.
So I think COVID probably affected you guys a lot. You guys had to like rearrange doing shows. Do you do any live shows that we could zoom into, that we could look on Facebook for? Is there any fun stuff you have for your fans right now?
Absolutely. We have stuff on Facebook, and then we have video all over the place, live stuff. But we always keep our events on Facebook updated to let everybody know where we're at.
So you guys do some live concerts on Facebook now that there's COVID, like some live events?
Yeah, we went to our practices like once a week.
Yeah.
Roughly. Sometimes we don't.
So
yeah, we go live a lot.
You do a live like weekly?
Yeah, pretty much every Thursday.
Every Thursday? Before or after the Sparkle Show?
Yeah, probably
after.
Before, because we're on the East Coast.
Yeah, because we do it at 8 o'clock at night, so that's 8 o'clock Eastern time.
Oh, so that's perfect. So that's at 5, so it's right after. So right after people see you on the Sparkle Show, they can listen to a live recording. I like it.
Come right over to the live performance.
I will refocus them. Hey, now that you've had the Sparkle Show, have this show. So how'd you guys come up with the name of your band?
Pretty much the lifestyle that we partake in.
Well, what were some of the runner-up names?
We did.
For this one, we didn't really have it.
Yeah, we pretty much just said this is what it's going to be. This is the type of music we're going to play.
The last band he and I were in, we had like 50 names, and it was really hard to decide.
Yeah, we had some good ones too, but.
Jetpack Nicotine.
How do you explain your genre? Because a lot of bands have a hard time explaining. They're like, we're ska mixed with rock, mixed with rap. How do you guys explain it?
I would say it'd be reggae, rock, grunge. I grew up on grunge music. A lot of us did, and we also grew up on the early '90s of the ska and the reggae that was coming out.
That's the kind of music I like.
Yeah, well, you know, we all have like that edgy side on us. So instead of like jumping into the punk that most of the bands of our genre do, we jump into more of a grunge sound, which is a derivative of punk. So, you know, it all fits, I feel like, anyway.
Kenny, I can't see you. Kenny, come back. I feel like you're like out of range, and I miss you. Ah, there you are, Kenny.
So he.
Kenny, oh my gosh, you're not going to be like that one band he's never seen.
I see your future.
I just see it now.
No, but Kevin, I think he puts it the best because, like, if you were just to use like big name bands, he says like Nirvana mixed with Sublime, which I'd say pretty accurate to describe us.
Nirvana mixed with Sublime. That's really interesting. So, how many videos do you guys have out now? You guys are coming up with one, right? Coming up with one soon?
We just dropped a single video for our new single that dropped, Missing Things. And that's out on YouTube and all.
Missing Things. So, who did you miss when you wrote Missing Things?
Dave.
Dave, come on, Dave.
There was this pizza delivery guy, right?
Well, really, I've had a lot of. I've always been like a dude that pretty much is very loyal and faithful, and always kind of got the short end of the stick. You know, the whole nice guy thing. So it's kind of writing about all of the ones that took my love for granted, basically. So, but yeah, it's just basically.
I can only imagine all the women listening that are going to be like, oh, this is all about me.
Yeah,
some of the guys too.
Well, I didn't want. Well, it's weird because I knew that it was a really good song and a really good song for a single, but I also know how my wife is, so it was like a hard pick in a way because I knew that it was a good one to pick. So then basically we had quite a few. All of our next songs that are going to be coming out on our EP. It was really a toss up because we liked all the songs, and we just asked the engineer, and he said, "I think this one right here," and I said, "Yeah, well, my wife's gonna hate me for that, but
Yeah.
it is a good song, and it's all real, and I think it really gravitates with everybody because we've all been through those type of relationships."
And ironically, it's kind of a double entendre in this pandemic right now. Everybody out there is missing something. So the fact that we bring it out now, and you know, we're maybe not missing a girl, but we're all missing something, whether it's food or just friendship.
Going to the
beach, you know. So everyone can relate to it.
That's very true. We're all missing something. Okay, so YouTube, we can see the video. Where can we go to hear all of your music?
Pretty much everywhere. Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, whatever.
Yeah, it's anywhere you go to
Amazon
stream, or if you still buy music.
Look up at Mad Divers and look for the skeleton with the gas mask.
Has the pandemic helped in a little way that you could create more music because you have a little bit more downtime where you guys are like all together?
Yeah, we've been in the lab with a pen and a pad. Yeah, I pretty much.
You pretty much
come up with ideas pretty much every night, but then it's a matter of whether I can stay on that vibe the next day, and if I can, then I know that that's one I need to keep messing with. But I've wrote quite a few songs during the quarantine and during the whole lockdown thing and stuff, so it's been pretty cool.
How do you guys all deal with him? So every night, every day, it's like, oh, I came up with another one. You guys are like, what's this one now?
Communication until practice.
Yeah, we let him. He gets like 4 or 5 days to create on his own, and then we show up for practice, and then we just go with the flow.
And usually we'll jam. Yeah, exactly. Usually we'll just jam with it because I think we're like when we play live, we're very like jam band kind of style also, because we'll just go off into space and just ride a roller coaster, and so usually it starts out with like a 13-minute jam where I'm trying to make it the way I want to make it, and they're all trying to make it, and then the next thing you know, it's like, hey, that was awesome. Let's keep on going with it.
What are some of the bands you guys have played with before? Is there anybody I would know that you guys have ever jammed with or opened for? I'm sure one of you guys have been around and did something with somebody that I'd be like, oh, really?
Well, we were billed. We had a festival bill with the Unlikely Candidates. They've had something that charted recently. The Dolly Rots,
the Bumpin' Uglies, Brett Bollinger from Pepper.
Led Zeppelin wanted us to open up for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of ridiculous, but
it was kind of short notice.
Yeah, so we couldn't make it all happen.
They wanted to be.
I was thinking like maybe some Modest Yahoo, because I get a little bit of that vibe when I hear some of the stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That would definitely be somebody that we would definitely be looking forward to playing with for sure. We'd feel great. But as of right now, we're just on the come up. You know what I mean? It's all about the come up. We all played in bands for 10 years or so, and then I came up with this idea and said, this is what I've been wanting to play for a long time, and it's got a really cool vibe going right now. Let's do it.
So are you the leader of the pack?
Yeah, for the most part, but I'm also the one that everybody has to find and round up.
He's the wild card. He's Axel basically.
No, I'm not Axel. I'm very like easygoing and don't really care, but that's what gets me in trouble, because I'll just like get into a conversation with somebody like backstage or something, and then you gotta come find me, and I'm like, oh man, I didn't know what time it was. I didn't know you guys loaded the whole trailer.
How did you guys all know each other? I know you guys came from different bands, and what was the plunge where it's like, okay, I'm going to leave those bands and we're all going to be one big band?
Well, when I started doing music, I started rapping, and I did that for years. I did it all the way through high school and would sell mixtapes because I played so many sports I couldn't work a regular job, so I just sell mixtapes. And then when I came out of high school, I just I still liked the rap and I was still doing that, but I did like a couple karaoke's and stuff and sang some Doors. I'm a big Doors fan, so I sang some Doors, and people were like, hey man, you're really good, blah, blah, blah. So all of a sudden, like, these guys come up and they're like, dude, we got this band, we want you to hear the music, we want you to front it. And I was like, all right. So, and this was years ago, and I walk in and it's like hardcore, like Mudvayne, but with real, like Mudvayne at the end. It had a lot of really singing parts, but it had some really hard parts. And I was a screamer, and I didn't play any instrument. I just screamed my guts out every chance that I could, and then do regular melodies and then throw raps in and stuff. And I just thought to myself, I was like, man, I'm not trained vocally. If I keep doing this, I'm not going to have a voice at all. I'm going to sound like Sling Blade or something. So I actually started writing a couple songs with my acoustic guitar, and my buddy Aaron here, he's been my friend since we was knee high to a grasshopper, and
It must have been a big grasshopper.
he was playing drums and stuff in school. So I was like, "Hey man, you still want to play some drums?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure," because we had graduated a couple years prior to that. And we started jamming, but he signed up for the military and ended up getting deployed. So when he did, he was like, "Hey man, I got to go away for a while. I got to go to I think it was Iraq first, and then Afghanistan. And
Wow.
he's been deployed quite a few times. So when he left, I just did a lot of acoustic stuff and all that, and then went through bands, and then I was playing a acoustic coffee house style gig at this restaurant, and George, my drummer, happened to be the cook, and he looked at my set list, and he was like, and I mostly play originals, but I do the covers that I love, only the ones that I love are the ones that I'll do. And he was like, "Man, I really like those songs you have on there. Like, that's not what a lot of people play when you go out and see people play. I really like that stuff."
Exactly. I just went up to him. I was like, "Hey, you want to jam sometime?" He's like, "I was Tuesday." I'm like, "Damn, all right, let's do Tuesday then."
Yeah.
And then pretty much from there on. This is the second band we've been in.
Yeah, and then we started a band, and then, you know, you got your band issues. Everybody has band
What
issues.
about Kenny?
but
When did he come in? People are always forgetting about little Ken. And
Oh, well, yeah, Rubber Dub here. That's his name, Rubber Dub. Shorty Rubber Dub. This is our bass line. He
is that good luck?
actually played. He actually played bass for him and Paul's band, and I used to throw a lot of benefits and stuff for the community, and I would get them guys to come and play. And they had kind of like an indie style band with a female fronted band, and I would get them because I always like the eclectic stuff. I like keeping it as wild as it can be. And then that one night they came and played, and I was just standing up there, and I was like, "Yo, that dude right there got that love funk up in him." So
I got the love funk in me.
yeah.
In case you can't tell.
So you went, you took people out of their bands and put them in yours. That's funny.
Well, our band broke up, and so I was in
Self-imploded.
It was self-imploded, and Dave was in actually two bands, so I was in his other band. I showed up for practice for that band, and he was like, "Oh, this isn't a thing anymore. Now you're in the Matt Dabbers." I was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "Yeah, I know this cat in Maryland that plays bass." I was like, "No, I'll bring the bass player next week."
And when he showed up, I walked in, and I was like, all right, now let me just see, because they played a total different kind of music. So I was like, there's this certain sound of bass I'm looking for our sound. And man, as soon as he started plucking strings, all my hair stood up, my neck curled
All his dreads
just standing out here. That shit was insane. He looked like Simba.
So who's the biggest jokester of the group?
That's a tough one.
Wow, they all think it's you.
I think
George, our drummer.
Yeah.
So
We're all smartasses.
Yeah, we like to keep it fun. all
Who's
the
the
time.
most serious one of the band? I bet I know this, but tell me.
Paul. But he's pretty funny himself. I'd say he's like, I don't know, I don't want to rank. He might actually be the funniest though.
I don't know about that.
He doesn't try as
I'm
often.
the quietest, I would say.
They always say you gotta watch out for the quiet ones.
That's true. You really should, especially me.
Who's the biggest ladies' man of the group?
Shit, we all know that.
Everybody's rubbing it.
Man about me, but,
yeah, Rubber Dub is.
He does kind of have a way.
Yeah, he does have a way with the ladies. Rubber Dub is the man.
that is a complete farce, but it's great.
I don't know.
I've seen him in action. He's got game. Right now or before marriage? Yeah. Never mind. I haven't seen him do anything.
Yeah, nothing's ever happened.
So where's the next big thing I could see all of you guys?
Thursday nights, 8 o'clock on Facebook Live.
The video just dropped. Is there another video in the works?
What's that?
Is there another video in the works? The one that just dropped, and then when's the next one coming out?
We're going to the studio in what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, like the 16th or 19th. I can't get my.
Yeah, we're still working on it. It's the single drop, but there's 4 songs that are close to being ready, so they'll be out eventually.
Give us a heads up, like when we follow you on Instagram and everything, you're gonna be like, hey, August 24th, we're coming out. Do you tell us that, or just it's all of a sudden out? The build up. Where's the build up?
It'll have to be a little bit of time after we get it in digital form, but
September, October, we should be dropping something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
October.
So where are you guys the most active? Is it Facebook?
As far as social media, yeah, Facebook.
I'm usually the most active.
You're the
close
most
to account.
Oh, so every time we're communicating with someone, it's rub-a-dub?
Yes.
Yes, this is Rub-a-Dub.
Yes, that is the name.
No, I think.
Nah, if you're talking to someone on Facebook, it's me usually. 9 times out of 10. If you're talking to someone from the band, it's me. I do our social media.
He's the most, and you'll be able to tell if it's not him
Paul's the
because
most got his shit together.
yeah, he's got his stuff together. If you hear anything that sounds like a 12-year-old wrote it, it was one of those.
I've had to change the password a few times to keep them off of it.
Well, thank you guys so much for chatting with me. We're going to keep up on everything you're doing. We're going to become fans, stalkers.
Please do.
Yeah.
We enjoy stalking.
Stalk away.
Yeah, we promote stalking.
I live at 253 East Commerce Street.
I know that. I already have somebody out there right now.
Yeah, you just let the internet
sure
know.
oh, shit.
Hey, well, come on by. Whatever.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Sparkle Show. I am so glad that I've finally been able to get you on, Jacqueline. Tell us about yourself and what you do. You have a podcast, and you're just really involved and active in the Armenian community.
I guess I have been active in the Armenian community, and what really stands out to me is how much help we need as Armenian women. By the way, I wanted to share with you that my son saw you on Facebook when I was voting for you today, and he's like, she looks like Cher. So that's awesome. I've seen her a couple times too. But the podcast that I have, Armenian Women Empowerment, kind of came out, even though I'd kind of noticed this thing happening in our community, it actually happened to me, and I was really surprised. And so as a victim of some serious emotional, familial, and financial abuse from my ex and his family, I decided, we need, even if I'm just reaching one person, I don't care, we need some help.
We do.
We can't let this happen. Yeah.
So how did you become such a strong, independent Armenian woman after going through all that?
Well, that took a while. It's only been 3 years out. And I talked to my therapist about this a lot. She's like, you need to stop kicking yourself in the rear end, because there's times when I really just kind of like have to go, okay, it is only 3 years out, but it feels like a lot longer, I took initiative, I kicked him out, and I switched up my life. I haven't talked to any of his family in 3 years. And it's
what is that like? Because in our culture, I mean, his family was your family, and now you don't have that. How is that transition?
Well, so I was familial abused too, and I don't know if you're familiar with that term. Familial abuse kind of comes up,
family.
and yeah, it really is. It's a whole family abuse, and that's what happened to me. And when I say happened, it really did happen. It isn't something I talk to people about it, and they're like, "Well, I don't believe there's any victims in the world." There really are. They're victims of abuse that we don't even know anything about, because you can't even imagine what it's doing to your head, day in, day out.
Well, there are choices.
So,
I understand that to an extent, but when you get married and you have a child and you're trying to do the right thing, I mean, it's a very hard exit strategy. Yeah. So it's,
Exactly. Kids don't make it easy for you to just get up and go.
I mean, you're trying to do the right thing here. So it's like, once you start to see, hey, this is a situation I don't want to be in, you can't just and then,
get up and go.
Yeah, you really can't.
And that's what I hope with this podcast. I hope that when Armenian women are listening, they're understanding themselves a little better and getting more and more courage to make really important, transformation in their life and really important changes that may actually be as dramatic as what I had to do, which is just, cut all ties. And by the way, ties cannot be cut when kids are involved, but as much as possible, And
it's got to be hard because, then you're frowned upon in your race and in your community because you didn't make it work. How's that going?
Oh, it's all the time. Well, it's funny because while we were kind of waiting for things to happen here in this interview, I just pushed out my podcast while we were talking. I use Anchor. Yeah, I just did.
Okay, I'm going to listen to it as soon as this is done. I can't wait.
It's called Sexism and Racism. Thank you. It's called Sexism and Racism Don't Belong in the Armenian Community. It's a lot of pressure that women are under anyway. But, and growing up, I've heard this a lot. I'm not saying this was just my marriage. It's also growing up too, right? We hear certain things. We feel like the women should be gossipy and they have their right to be in that space.
A lot of stereotypes.
Totally, but the stereotypes were true in my community. I never liked it when I was growing up. And coming here to California where we're so, hugely populated. And
Jacqueline, where are you from?
I'm from Chicago.
I love it.
Born and raised.
I love you more now.
Yay!
I love you guys. That's so cool. I've always been in Fresno and LA, Cali. I'm the stereotypical Armenian, but I love that you're from Chicago.
Thank you. Well, there are a lot of Chicago Armenians in Fresno too, which I think is interesting. A lot of my friends from Chicago live in Fresno.
Well, get me with them. I want to be with that crowd.
No, you might not. I don't know if you want to be with them. They're still sexist and racist. I mean, I'm not sure I want to. I'll name drop later in a private chat. But yeah, so, again, I don't take the victimhood thing lightly, but it's so, when someone like my ex is so very well versed in manipulation and control and a certain dogma against, a belief of women, that kind of dogma of, you are in this box and you are here. And to be able to take his whole family, including my own, and isolate me and pin me down, that takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of time for someone to process. So this isn't about victimhood, but I also know where some women might be at. And if they need to get out of that space because of, finances or whatever, they just need to get out of that space. I want to give them that encouragement and say, it is possible to overcome and to just, ignore all of the backlash, like you said, that comes from the community. It really does. We don't even, it's so funny because when my mom found out, we didn't tell my mom about about me getting a divorce and kicking my husband out for a long time because she's got health issues, and we didn't want to bother her. We don't mess with her.
I have a lot of friends that did the same thing. That they waited until the very. I totally get it.
Well, it's funny because when she finally did learn that I got a divorce, she asked me, she said, now I want to know, he kick you out or you kick him out? I said, Mom, I kicked him out. She was, bravo, Kizzy. Now I like divorce. I'm like, okay. See, so there's
she
her.
was on your side. Go, Mom.
There's her, right? That's her Armenian women empowerment coming out in herself. And I loved it. I loved it.
Well, it takes a lot of guts and a lot of courage. Anytime you make a big change like that, and then knowing the backlash that's coming, having to be financially strapped until you're financially independent, it's a lot to go through. You said about the sexism. Can you go into the racism?
Okay, so sexism and racism combined. I feel like racism is where, I can't put my finger on it. I really can't because it's not direct. I don't feel like Armenians are directly racist. I think we have like some deeply seated problems with racism because it happened to us, because that's why genocide happened. Because
correct.
It, you know what I mean? It was a campaign against us. It was propaganda. It was all of that. It was racism. And so I feel like over the years I hear, well, we're still better than blah, blah, blah. We're still better than them.
We have a very weird racism. That's
okay, weird racism. Yes, that's it.
It's not like we don't. My dad had always said, he goes, "We're not racist. We just don't like anybody else." He's a very funny guy. He meant that and funniness, but then a little bit of truth.
Sure. And some of that truth comes out a little more. And honestly, when I moved out here, it was a little more. And I remember having conversations with my brother. So I'm also, my family is, has deeply rooted seeds in Armenian culture and history. My brother is a professor of Armenian history and culture. So growing up in that, it also surprised me when I heard it in his students over the years, my own students over the years, like making pot shots, comments about certain races, calling them stereotypical things that just didn't sound right coming out of an Armenian's mouth. Again, it's this weird racism. And I'm like, dude, no. I'm sitting here telling you that, we had this genocide. It's a real thing. It didn't just happen overnight.
You're talking about the new racism, and that's from people that don't know. The younger generation racism. That's different than our parent racism.
Yeah, our parents is a little different. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting that you say that, and it's because they don't understand our roots. That's really fascinating, actually.
They don't understand our roots. When I used to teach genocide awareness in schools, just when Facing History and ourselves were, collecting all of our history, right? It wasn't just the Holocaust. And when that started coming down the pike, and I had my middle schoolers in front of me, largely Armenian population, they'd be like, oh, I thought we were just like lined up in a line of 1.5 million people and shot to death. And I'm like, yeah, no, it didn't happen like that. It was a full-on campaign and, program after program, and then finally, boom. And so hearing racism come out of a young mouth, and sadly, it happens out of more of our boys than girls because, again, the girls are very quiet and very proper. And, and that also, that's not coming from being raised by parents, but it's also coming from where they live, right? Mm-hmm. We've lived in a lot of extremist Islamic countries and, still have close ties to Turkey. We're right there still. It's not like we're far away.
We have a war right now.
And we've got a war right now.
What are the young people thinking about that? Because you've been hearing a lot of what's going on. What are the young people thinking about the current situation? And can you give a little rundown for our viewers?
Oh, totally. Okay, so we've been in this war, I guess, back and forth with Azerbaijan, which is largely Armenian over the years. We live in Artsakh, and we've been fighting for that land. And Azeri aggressors come in, and we're supposed to be in the middle of a pandemic, and they signed this kind of like a treaty, I guess, that they weren't going to, both sides weren't going to do anything aggressive, and so boom, the Azeris totally ignored that. And again, we are kicked when we're down. This is what happens to Armenians. We're always kicked when we're down. Kick them when they're up, kick them when they're down. They're in the middle of the pandemic, and I hear that our numbers are horrible over there. We're not doing well. The president's even started wearing a mask, which is interesting. Kind of thought it was interesting that he used to use Donald Trump as an example of not wearing a mask. Again, we've got this huge icon that people look up to, and he even encouraged our president, the Armenian president, to not wear a mask. Now he's wearing a mask. We're in a terrible situation there. And so the Azeri aggressors, came in, and let's face it, they're Turks. They're a Turkic-speaking, nation, and they just want us gone. That's it. Erdogan even said it. He's like, we need to finish what we started years ago. And it's horrible to hear. I still wondered this, like, why? What do you really hate about us? So recently in San Francisco, and I'm sure you've heard, the Armenian school was totally vandalized by Azeri aggressors. And oh my God, I was so proud of our news media for reporting it, first of all. I think that we've made huge waves there, where Armenia is now on the map, right?
Our history is not recognized, but at least our present situation is.
Exactly. So presently, one of the newscasters said sexist and racist vandalism on, and I was like, sexist? What? And I looked, and I saw that they had written something about the Kardashians, calling us the Kardashian nation, and I'm like, what the what? It's that's like as sexist as it can get. And I was just so proud of her for calling it out, because that's what it is. It's totally sexist, and I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like, just like they're saying that Russia was involved in our politics, Turkey's involved in our politics day after genocide, trying to make sure that we never, ever get this, boil of a situation, this horrific part of their history out in the public. And I still think that they spend lots of money on social media to find out how Armenians feel about ourselves, so that they can kick us when we're down, for example, And all I ever hear I'm very active on social media, and I have to be honest with you, that saved my life. Facebook saved my life, and that's where I found out that my ex was leading a double life. So I'm a proponent of the book. I found out a lot about that. But I also think that Turkey spends a lot of money trying to find out how we feel about each other. And Armenians, including Armenian women, do not like women who succeed and pull forward. And, they're even a little shy about, it's kind of interesting over the years when the Kardashians first came out with their reality show. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like and then they're a big deal. Now they're a huge deal. And they've married black men. And they're, you know what I mean? They're like, whoa, now they're really doing the bad stuff. And so when I'm on social media and on these Armenian sites, they have nothing good to say about the Kardashians. Very few Armenian women feel good about that. And for shame, really. And so I'm sure these are, they're out there, they're going, okay, they already hate the Kardashians. Let's call them what they hate to be, let's kick them when they're down. And so that's why I'm just like, no, we've got to stop this. We really have to stop. We have to start uplifting and encouraging, because at the end of the day, there isn't a single entertainer that has managed to put Armenia on the map better than Kim Kardashian. I don't know. People might not agree with that, but that's, I strongly believe that.
So, what steps do you think we should take now in the Armenian community to empower women? What are some positive steps you see us doing?
Well, right now, I'm talking to you. You're a positive step right there. Okay. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this when you are talking to other women, when you're uplifting, you're empowering. I saw one of your shows. I forget which one it was. The one that the woman who dressed kind of like David Bowie. You really tagged it. I love the way you mentioned that about her style. And I was thinking, this is the kind of thing we need to see more of. We need to see more Armenian women and who they are and how one strict line of person we aren't. We have so much to offer, so much. We do so much. And we are smart, and we are, the glue with a lot of families too. How many times have you heard that? The mother, the patriarch is the glue. Well, that's a huge thing that doesn't get recognized enough. It gets kind of like brushed away and not recognized, not celebrated. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'd like to see us celebrating Armenian women moving forward and not just because they're wearing a suit or because they're wearing their hair, short or long. I want us to celebrate each other because, that's what's going to encourage and push people forward. That's what's going to keep a race alive. I'm tired of hearing all this. Oh, well, if we don't marry each other, if we don't marry into our own, we're never going to. Bull crap.
I know my siblings, they married Odars, so.
Good. And that's fine. And by the way, that word, you got to stop using that word. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good.
I know, it's our racist word. But no, and I say that because when my father was saying that about, we're the best or whatever, at the end of the day, he wasn't like that. He lets us, do what we want. And that was really cool.
Yeah. And that's how, my sister married a half Jew, and he's been, my mom loves it.
That's great. So we are expanding. We are doing other things, and that's totally good. I think slowly but surely breaking out tradition. However, it's a good thing, but at the same time, like you said, we have this younger generation that doesn't understand our history, and they're going around acting a fool, making us look bad. So that's not good.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how to, I don't think it's our job as individuals, right, to do it all and push things forward and be proactive and get them to understand. But I do think that individually we can continue to do what we're doing right now, which is getting the word out somehow through media. They're all listening, they're all watching. I mean, did you see the hearing that Congress had with all of our communication moguls? I mean, kids are on YouTube. That's it. They're on YouTube. So they need to start seeing more of you. They need to start seeing more people like me, or hearing more people like me on a podcast. They need to start seeing positive role models in their lives. They're not just, they're not just moms who may or may not, like, I really, what really concerns me is, and I guess the best way to explain this is I'll give an example from when I was a teacher. A lot of the Armenian boys from Armenia specifically, they used to walk around with their shoulders down and their hands in their pockets, and they looked like 80-year-old men. I'm serious. There were 14-year-olds that looked like 80-year-old men walking around and, Bear John. I'm like, okay, relax. Let's be a kid. And they go home, right? Yeah. They go home, they see the matriarch, who really is this phenomenal person in their lives, but isn't treated that way. And they're behind a stove or the refrigerator or the sink or, the animal crap that she has to clean. I'm serious, like, they don't see enough of that badassery that's going on behind the scenes, or even not going on because she's feeling so bad about herself, and and also being encouraged to feel bad about herself in her own community. You know, like I said, it happens a little bit. It's a little by little. So what I'd like to see is our young people viewing. So the example from my classroom, so this kid that would walk around like this, you know, he's all like, he'd come up to me and he'd say, oh, I got a bad grade. Oh, my mom wants to talk to you. And I said, okay, well, you know, tell her to call me, make an appointment. Oh, she doesn't speak Armenian. Can you just write a note? And I'm like, oh, that's okay. I speak Armenian too. And he's looking at me and he's like, you speak Armenian? And now he's scared because I'm going to let her, you know, I'm going to tell his mom what's been going on, you know?
He didn't know you spoke Armenian?
They always thought that I was like married to it was weird. They'd ask me
I was like, well, they got it now.
Yeah. You know, I'm like, no, that's actually my name. I never really changed my name when I got married. I'm Armenian. You know, so like, I feel like we need to like somehow expand. And maybe that's what's happening with Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and all of it, you know, YouTube. If our kids are on YouTube a lot more than adults are, then that's the way to go. You know, we need to see more role models on YouTube or, you know, on social media or somewhere where the kids go so they see how forward Armenian women are moving. Does that make sense? You know, I mean, and I don't mean, again, I'm not talking about like someone in a suit or someone in a fancy dress. It's an Armenian woman that is doing good in the world, you know, just.
And there's so many. There really are.
Totally. Yeah.
I remember when I met you, you're like, how come we don't know each other? I was like, I know.
Oh my gosh. So did you grow up in Fresno?
I grew up in Fresno, then lived in LA for 15 years, and then moved back to Fresno. So I went from one highly populated Armenian area to another, because the last place I lived in Los Angeles was Glendale. So. And that's a totally different type of Armenians too. And they, you know, if you don't speak in a certain way, they're like.
Exactly. Yeah. If you don't have the Eastern twang, right? Because it's an Eastern twang versus a Western twang. I know it was funny too I'm Western Armenian, but I understand all the dialects after teaching for so many years. You just pick up on it. And it was funny. I'd sit there in these conferences, and the parents got it. You know, people in Armenia, they know all dialects. They know a lot of different languages. And so it was no problem for them, but the kids would be like, what's she saying about me? Mama, I'm like, don't worry, chill out. You know, you'll get the translation later on.
Okay. So, Jacqueline, your podcast too, really quickly. What do you usually drop it? Is it Wednesdays or Thursdays?
I don't know. I don't have like a set time now because
is that why I see it infrequently?
Probably, okay. Yeah. I need to be more frequent. I feel like I do. I need to like, and it's weird because I feel like I also look, you know, being financially abused for so long, it took me a while to get my equipment going. And so I recently discovered the clip-on, the lapel mic, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what a great invention that is. Because I listened to some of my podcasts and I'm like, yeah, sound quality is not so great. So, you know, like I said, 3 years out, and I'm not perfect here. I'm going with the flow, and I just feel grateful that we have apps out there and we don't have to get like fancy equipment, you know, to make this stuff happen. Because yeah,
I honestly got the podcast app to listen to your show.
Yay! Which you got you got?
I never had. I mean, I have an iPhone. I have the capabilities, but I downloaded it just so I can hear your show.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, that makes me feel so good. Yay!
That's why I was like, when is it on? Because I thought I wasn't keen to like exactly because I saw different days, but now you said it's kind of infrequently. But it's monthly or weekly.
I try to push out a couple a month. I feel like,
so
but I want to be more. I mean, yeah, I want to be more regular, you know. But I feel like pandemic was just, oh my gosh, now I'm in like teacher and student mode. You know, my son here.
How old is your son?
He's 12.
Okay.
He's 12. Yeah, and we have 3 cats too. It's a lot of testosterone in my house. 3 male cats here, so
Oh,
I'm an
wow.
empowered Armenian woman with testosterone around. So
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because I want everyone to listen to you. And like you said, we got to uplift. And who are some other Armenian women besides you and I that are on the awesome list that we should watch out, that we should look out for? I mean, Armin Bacon is a great writer. That's another one. Who are some others?
oh my gosh, so many. Oh boy. Okay, but you know, I'm like so nervous to talk to you, and you kind of put me on the spot. But have you heard the Armenian Enough podcaster?
No, you're
Lara
the only podcast I
Green?
listen to.
Okay, thank you, and I love it. And if you look us up, if you look up the word Armenian podcasts or something, it's like she and I are the only ones that come up right now.
Okay.
So, yeah,
check
Lara
her out.
Vanian Green. She has a podcast called Armenian Enough.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys should definitely get in touch with each other. And lots of authors. Laura Michael, she just married an Armenian actually, so that's not her last name anymore. But she wrote a book, a children's book, actually specifically for like 4th to 6th grade.
Okay.
Called Under the Light of the Moon, and it's about Jackie Coogan.
That story. Yeah, I know the Jackie Coogan story.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's so cool. Like, what an activist, right? From age 10. He was awesome. And so she wrote a book about him that also talks about the Armenian obviously, his work with the Armenian genocide, and ties it in a really nice way. It's got a lot of,
And it's for 4th to 6th. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I was
So
reading
Laura
books like that at
Michael-
4th to 6th, so I'm glad that they're kind of promoting a mature 4th to 6th grade book. That's really nice.
Totally. And then we still have some, you know, women writers like Dawn McKeon. See, the thing is, when they don't have the last name that has IAN on it, it really is kind of hard to. I'm like, could you guys put the IAN on? Just even though you don't maybe agree, just put it there, like somewhere there. So
Right.
I don't know. But she's, you know, she's a prolific writer, and gosh, I can't think of any names right now. There's somebody who wants. There's someone else. You're like, I was so excited. I was so excited when you invited me on, and you said you wanted to have me on your show. I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then somebody else asked me. And then something happened to my phone, like it was one of those resets that had to happen. I have no idea where she is anymore. Don't even see her. But she's got a show. I think she has a YouTube show. I'll get back to you.
I think I might know who you're talking about. I don't know if she disappeared, because there was somebody else I was talking to, I think was linked up with you. I had a lot of followers,
maybe
right?
she disappeared then. It's possible. You know,
And
I
she
always
had a
think
lot
these
of,
things
she had
happen
a
on my
huge
phone.
following, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
And then
I don't
she's
know what
just
happened to her either, and I had emailed her. Yeah, we've been in corresponding, so yeah. So we got to, again, this is why we got to push each other. I love it. Let's do it.
Yes. I'm excited about it. You know, I do want to kind of have more of a regular show, and I would love to interview you on my podcast, and we could just switch this up, if you don't mind.
I'm a horrible interviewer, as I've been discovering about myself. So, but I will totally interview. I'm better in this.
I hear you. You know, my friend said the same thing of Armenian Enough. She's like, I'm not sure if I'm great on the other end, but you know, we do have to hear each other's stories,
right?
Because they're so important. Like mine, you know, mine might be unique, but might not. Like, I'd love to hear about more women who've had the experience of.
Unfortunately, I don't think you are that unique. When you told me that, it's like, I've heard this story a million times, and you're the one speaking about it, so that's what I'm happy about that. But unfortunately, that's not a unique story. This happens all the time.
Well, interesting, because, you know, we go by what we grew up around, and I don't remember, what do I call it? Serial, you know, what my ex-husband did was serial double lives. This was like, it wasn't uncommon for him to do this any time in his life, and he's probably doing it today.
Right
right now. And so that might be unique. That might be unique, but not so unique, because we have a lot of Armenians that came from his part of town that are completely and totally brainwashed to believe that they are the chosen ones on the planet, and they're all over the community.
Well, and the biggest thing that you said, the family goes in cahoots with it. They encourage this. You know what I mean? There's no accountability. When you have somebody, we all have to have those friends that tell us straight up what we're doing wrong, and, those good friends. But if you're doing bad behavior and people are uplifting it, that's not helpful.
What's interesting is when I shared with a lot of my supposed good friends, you think you're good friends with people, and then after I kicked him out, I had a very good friend that said, "Oh, I'm so glad you kicked him out. I never liked him." And I couldn't figure, and I'm like, could you have told me that? Like, would that have been, but no, she admitted that she doesn't feel comfortable telling other women what to do. And I'm like, that's interesting that men feel comfortable telling us their feelings about things, right? But we as women, and that would have helped so much. Like, just to kind of go, even my own sisters, I had 2 sisters that were involved in this entanglement of how he managed to pull them away from me and, alienate them from me. And so it was interesting to hear them too. And they said, guess what? I don't feel like I'm that confident as a woman to share my really true open feelings about your ex, who I absolutely hate. Yeah, it is. It's and I think that's got to stop. We have to start switching up the conversation and giving us the tools to speak up and speak our truth, feel comfortable with sharing our story.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, Jacqueline.
Thank you. It's a vulnerable spot, right? It's a vulnerable piece. So getting back to my podcast and wanting to do more interviews, I want to bring sparkle to my podcast. I want to bring light and love and uplift to my podcast and interview. Right now it's just me, it's solo. And that's another thing that I thought I was going to do right away. But believe it or not, it's hard to get somebody on, that's a woman, because we don't feel that confident about ourselves. And so I'm hoping it's going to be more of a combination podcast, and I get to interview some really kick-ass Armenians and, really show, how cool we are, how empowered we are already,
And tell everybody the name of your podcast.
It's Armenian Women Empowerment. My handle @Armenian Women Empowerment. I like to call myself Awe. I'm looking into getting some bling, some sparkle for myself that says Awe.
I love it. I just noticed the Awe. I'm surprised.
Isn't that cool?
I love that.
Oh, you have a podcast.
And then everybody could look at Armenian Women Empowerment on Instagram too. I love it. It's catchy. So usually I have to have everyone's names up. No, you guys look up Twitter, Instagram, and the podcast.
I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter yet. Not yet. I'm still. I don't like Twitter since Donald Trump was. Yeah. I can't. My old business is there, but maybe later. Maybe after November 3rd, I'll be on Twitter. Look out for me then. Please vote.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. I can't wait to go on your show.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we'll talk. We'll talk privately about that.
Sounds good.
Thanks so much for having me today. I'm so inspired by you. You are so cool, and I hope you win this. I really do.
Thank you.